Hey everybody, welcome back. It is fight week for Karate Combat 40 down in sunny Miami, and we got some good news that we have another sport karate fighter that will make his premiere at Karate Combat 40. Introduced to the show, of course, some of you all know him. He is Leo Valdivia. Leo, welcome to the program. Thank you for taking a few minutes during the weight cut and everything else to talk to us. How are you doing, brother?
Thank you for having me. I feel great. I can't wait for it to be Friday to weigh in, eat, and perform Saturday.
Now you're out of what part of Florida are you? What are you living in now?
Miami, Florida.
Oh, so it's easy. It's like right. You probably know exactly
Yeah,
where the
I'm
venue is.
literally 12 minutes away. I've been to 3 events. One of them I cornered one of my teammates that fought last one. So it's literally 12 minutes away from my house.
Now this is incredibly awesome. Of course, we'd like to know how you got your journey to get to Karate Combat.
Well, I feel like it went, full circle. Started with World Combat League and stepped into kickboxing, did MMA, did bare knuckles. So now I'm back around to what I first started doing, which is basically a mix of point fighting, but it's more of a full contact mixed with a little bit of MMA, mixed with kickboxing. So it's going to be fun. I feel like it's perfect for my style of fighting.
And speaking of that, you have ventured in, as you mentioned, bare knuckle MMA, other areas of full contact. How do you think you're going to adjust to the Karate Combat rule set?
Well, I gotta, apply more point fighting into it. Just, with my boxing hands and, with my kickboxing kicks and some of the flashy point fighting kicks like axe kicks and, spin kicks and stuff like that. I just gotta put it together all at the right time, So let's say I'm far, I gotta play the distance game. I'll become a point fighter. If I'm up close, I gotta, box him up and kickbox him. So from what I've seen of him, he's a Kyokushin karate guy. So he's very traditional, but he's a very, he's a hard guy. They're all those guys are all hard. So he's very stationary and just likes to, he's willing to take one to give you one type of guy.
That's interesting. It seems like you found a little bit about your opponent. So have you started to apply or think of maybe strategy already for the fight?
Yeah, we have a few strategies for him. Obviously he's not as quick. His reaction is not as fast. His angles, he's gonna be basically trying to look for me. And they don't like point fighters. They don't really have angles. They just straight forward basically, and like to counterattack and use their body.
I like that you've already started thinking about that. Speaking of Karate Combat, of course, we've got it's actually starting to feel like a tournament because you got a lot of friends there. We got Raimi there, we got Ross, we got Robbie. Hold on, I know I'm leaving somebody else out. We got Kevin Kowalski. There's Elijah just from last event. How would you rate their performances so far for the sport karate guys that have gone before you?
They're all doing great, and they're all having a hard time with these guys because their movement and their timing and their distance and their speed. It's a lot for a regular. Let's say they have a kickboxer coming in trying to to fight one of these point sparring guys or are full contact fighters. They're gonna have a hard time because of the speed and the timing. They're very just in there and look for the counterattacks, and they just wait for the right moment to strike. We're just like in and out, in and out, in and out. It will drive you crazy till you get frustrated and then you run into something.
Now, with that being said, there's definitely been a space now created for point fighters, veteran point fighters, also veterans of full contact. Before and now, I'm asking you to step back just a little bit because before you were watching Karate Combat from the outside in, and what's been really your overall take from it? I know you're inside now, getting ready to prepare, but before you joined the organization, what was your take of Karate Combat before?
I feel like I belong there, because I did the World Combat League, so I know that kind of style of fighting. But in the whole process, from World Combat League to now, I did MMA. In MMA you got to do judo. I did wrestling, so all that I'm gonna apply in Karate Combat because now we're allowed to do throws. Now you can ground and pound, And the best thing is that there's no submission, so there's it's 5 seconds ground and pound and no submission. So you don't. Not that it's boring, but for the average fan watching fights, they want to see stand up and they want to see, ground and pounds, and they don't want to just see people hugging each other. for
Right.
5 minutes.
Speaking of that, one of the things that I've always said is that karate combat gives the fighters, and we'll just use NASCA as a general representation. Of course, I
Yeah,
can be talking about WACO, MBL, etc. But I feel that karate combat gives us as fighters some place to go after you have done the tournament scene and you want to do something more a little bit more professional.
yeah,
Whereas everybody's doing kata and everything, they can head off to Hollywood. They could do stunts if they wanted to. They can act in front of the camera. I mean, do you think, like, for example, if Karate Combat was around 10 years ago, so right around the same time as WCL, this would have given a better avenue to some of the other point fighters in that area? You might have seen them go in there. Would you agree with that?
yeah. I agree, but I also agree that there's always the right time, for
Hmm.
everything. I feel like right now is the right time for this to be happening. With the UFC blowing up and all
Hmm.
these karate guys going into UFC. We got Wonder Boy, we got Michael Page, we got Raymond.
Hmm.
So we're making a name for ourselves at the right moment, and the pay is getting better for UFC fighters. So everything's just growing.
That's definitely I agree with that mindset. Like you said, everything has to come by at a certain time, and at a certain time, a certain place for everything. So we
Yeah,
have you currently fighting at welterweight. How is the weight cut going?
it's not easy. I haven't. When I was 18, I made my pro debut in the World Combat League, and my debut was Uriah Hall.
Hmm.
Uriah Hall was like 220 pounds. I was like 170 wet. When I weighed in, I had to weigh in with ankle weights. My tracksuit on and everything, just so I can make the limit of 195 is what I fought him at, because it was the only opportunity to get inside and get my foot inside the door. So I took
Hmm.
it. It was a good debut. Not my best, but if it was now, it would have been different.
Interesting
But
enough.
like I was saying, so I missed your question here. So
Oh, oh,
the last the last time I weighed what I'm gonna fight was when I was 18 years old.
so let me see. One of the things I will definitely wish you the best in during this week, and I know this is the grinding period of getting those last few pounds off and everything.
Yeah.
I know that you got the discipline to do it. You'll meet that scale on Friday. One of the last things as we wrap up is that I know they have a USA flag for you, but you're representing. You really feel like you're representing your home country of Nicaragua. What does it mean to wear that national flag on your gi?
Nah, it means everything because I was born in Nicaragua. My culture is very Nicaraguan. I'm
Hmm.
bilingual. My first language is Spanish, so I want to represent my country, and I want to be the first to represent my country in karate combat.
With that being said, tell us what the support from the sports karate world. Because whenever we have an event like this, whether it was Ross and Glory or Raymond and Karate Combat, so on and so forth, the sport karate world shows up to support you because you have deep roots in there. What does that support mean to you?
Means a lot, because I get to represent where I came from. That's at the end of the day, that's my roots. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, whether it's kickboxing, MMA, bare knuckles, whatever it is, I always represent, my style of fighting, and it comes from sport karate.
I love to hear that. Love to hear the roots. Well, before we go, I don't think it would be, we definitely have to take the opportunity to let you address everyone who is a native Spanish speaker and you give it in El Spaniel what you want to say to them before coming out this week to support you.
No, a todos mis latinos quiero que vengan y me apoyen. Toda la gente de Argentina, toda la gente de Venezuela, Colombia, Perú, Guatemala, México, my own country, Nicaragua, que me apoyen, que vamos a poner la bandera en alta.
Very well said, sir. I can't wait to see you. I'm looking forward. Karate Combat happens this weekend on Saturday. Let me make sure. Let me get the date right. I don't want to botch this. I don't be the guy that botch this. All right, Saturday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Of course, if you cannot make it down to the Miami area, you can go to karate.com and you can watch it for free. Leo, best of luck for you, the weight cut. I'll see you Friday.
Thank you so much. See you.